back at it again, and we got to talk about Piers Morgan. I may have to blur out one of these clips, so if it is blurred, it's due to copyright purposes. I apologize, okay? But Piers Morgan has been speaking a little bit of truth lately. Like, share, comment, and hit that subscribe button if you are new, and let's dive in.
If it's Biden-Trump in November,
who am I voting for?
Who wins?
I do believe Biden wins.
Trump.
Charlamagne, the casting votes.
Well, by the way, that's what's so scary about it. Like,
Right, that you have to think.
And by the way, you don't have to want this to happen.
But you're talking about, I know, but you're talking about a guy who has 91 criminal charges, a guy who says he wants to be a dictator for a day, a guy who says we should rip up the Constitution.
Against a guy who doesn't know what day it is.
And that's what I'm saying. So if Biden has done all of these great things and he's up against that and we're still not sure
I need a name, Charlamagne.
Is he winnable? I really don't know.
You got to give me a name.
Who's going to win?
Biden v. Trump.
It's not Dean Phillips.
It's not going to be Dean Phillips. I really, truly don't know. If I had to say right now, I would say Donald Trump.
Wow. There we go, the casting vote. Charlamagne the God, the man with his finger on the pulse of America. Trump.
Yeah. They all have to admit it now. Trump's on his way back. And everybody knows it. And this is why I say the only thing that worries me is people not showing up. And I know some of you have said, because I've read through the comment section. I read through the comment section on a daily basis. At least I try to most days. Some of you have said, hey, Rich, don't worry. We're just as enthusiastic as you are to go and support Trump. That shouldn't be a concern. You know, the whole... But still, that is the only thing that worries me. Because I know that's the only way that we lose. And I know some people are going to say this. Well, what about that? Well, what about this? And what about that? With the way that Trump is polling and what I'm seeing and what I've showed you guys, we can show up in such overwhelming numbers that no matter what they do, it's not going to matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, if they did try to do something, right, it would be so blatantly obvious to the entire population, not just us Republicans, but I mean to the entire U.S., that it would almost be a slap in the face to their own base. Like, dang, y'all been lying to us this whole time about democracy, and y'all went and did this. Like, it would, they would have to make up such a huge gap that it's virtually impossible, which is why I'm saying the only way that we lose is if we don't show up. If we show up the way that we're supposed to show up, it's a landslide. Landslide. You have places like the Bronx in New York, people, just regular folks on the street saying, bring back Trump. I want Trump. Did you ever think you would have saw that 4 years ago? Be honest. 4 years ago, if you were to ask yourself 4 years ago, would the Bronx actually vote for Donald Trump? Every single one of us would probably say, oh, HE double hockey sticks, no. No, they're all liberals and Democrats. Absolutely not, they're not voting for Trump. Well, story's changed. Piers Morgan, take it away.
Whether we monarchist Brits like to admit it or not, the President of the United States is the single most important person in the world, commanding the world's mightiest military and holding the purse strings of its biggest economy. The President could end Israel's war in Gaza with a phone call or decide if Ukraine gets the backing it needs to beat Putin. At least that's the general idea. But the current Commander-in-Chief is 81, seemingly going on 181 after a lifetime of distinguished public service as a pragmatic politician and, in my view, a thoroughly decent human being. President Biden looks increasingly unfit for service. The two most important women in President Biden's life have been sent out to jumpstart the 2024 race. Wildly unpopular VP Kamala Harris said this.
We've got 10 months to go until the election. And increasingly, and you've seen it even just this week, we are all starting to narrow in on what this election will mean. Yeah. And it's going to be the choice between what is about respecting our democracy, what is about competence versus chaos.
Well, the Vice President is right. Competence is crucially important. But her own boss has trouble getting up the stairs and can't seem to find a way off the stage. His frequent verbal and physical stumbles are the subject of both comedy and concern. Most people responded with laughter and derision, for example, when First Lady Jill Biden said this about him.
I see Joe every day. I see him out, traveling around this country. I see his vigor. I see his energy.
To those who say I can't vote for Joe Biden, he's too old, what do you say?
I say his age is an asset.
Energy and vigour. Not quite what I'm seeing. You can make a plausible case for the wise old statesman with a firm hand on the tiller, but campaigning on Biden's vigour may well fast-track Donald Trump, who does have a lot of vigour, to the White House. Now, at 77, Trump's no spring chicken himself, but with his diet-defying swagger and showmanship, most people on his side seem to be believing him when he says things like this.
I feel like I'm about 35 years old. I actually feel better now than I did 30 years ago. Tell me, is that crazy? I feel better now. And I think cognitively, I'm better than I was 20 years ago. I don't know why.
That is a slightly more debatable subject, Mr. Trump, but a whopping 77% of Americans, both Republican and Democrats, believe that Biden is simply too old to run the country. Almost 70% think he's mismanaged the crisis at the southern border. Just 13% say they're financially better off on his watch. At this stage of his term, he's the least popular US president in recorded history, and this stuff matters. US politics is almost hysterically polarized to the rest of us outside America, but most voters are in fact ready to be persuaded. White working-class voters ditched the Democrats to propel Trump to office in 2016. Now more and more Hispanic and black voters are shifting Republican too. Biden says he's the only man who's ever beaten Trump, and that's true. But right now, he may be the only one who can lose to Trump.
Yeah. She said Biden is a spring chicken, basically. If that wasn't the most laughable thing, goodness gracious. I've also got this clip from The Breakfast Club. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you guys this actual video clip. So I'll just play the audio and you'll get to hear it. This is Pierre Morgan, right? Charlamagne the God, and I forgot the other guy's name that's on The Breakfast Club. Anyway, this is on The Breakfast Club with Charlamagne the God, who you saw there at the beginning, that first clip, and Pierre Morgan speaking about an interesting topic. And I think more people in America need to hear stuff like this because mainstream media tries to hide this type of stuff. Check it out.
But let me ask you.
Mitch McConnell didn't encourage it.
You mentioned Obama. So this is an interesting little question I always throw people. Interesting if you guys know the answer. How many illegal immigrants, did Barack Obama deport in his 8 years as president?
Oh, I don't know.
Have a guess.
No clue.
No clue. Interesting, right? You don't know.
I mean, I know it was a lot, but I don't know the exact number.
Have a guess.
Oh, I don't know.
Give me a number.
I actually have read that it's more than Trump.
Give me a number.
I really don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
8 years. 8 years. How many?
I don't know.
How many people did he physically have deported in 8 years?
I have no idea.
Well, give me a number. You don't want it, do you?
No, I really don't know. I really don't know even where to begin. I don't know if it's tens of thousands, millions. I don't know where to begin.
Millions.
But I've read that it was more than Trump.
The answer is over 3 million. Damn. He was known as deporter-in-chief by Mexicans.
Yes. And that was more than Trump did.
He deported way more than Trump. He deported way more pro rata than any president in history. Who dropped the most bombs in a calendar year in America?
President Barack Obama.
Barack Obama, right? Including drone programs and so on, right? Who got elected in 08-09 on shutting down Guantanamo Bay? Because as a former lawyer, he believed it was an illegal institution.
President
Barack Obama.
Yeah.
What is still open today?
Guantanamo Bay.
Correct, right? Etc., etc., etc. So I know that the general thing is Obama angel, Trump devil.
Right.
But if you actually apply the scrutiny that we give Trump, put it this way, if Trump had deported 3 million people, you think you guys wouldn't know that answer? Of course you would, right? Nobody knows that answer because nobody thought that way about Saint Barack. And I think that he wasn't Saint Barack, and Trump isn't the devil.
Now that's facts. Barack Obama wasn't the saint that the media played him up to be, and Trump isn't the devil that they try to make him out to be either. And that's facts. So, you know, I'm happy that he said that because, like he said, if it were Trump that had done some of the same stuff that the Democrats have done, everybody would know about it. And this is one of the things that often comes up in my personal conversations with folks about this kind of stuff, because I'll say something and they'll be like, no way. No, that didn't happen. Oh, no. Well, no, Democrats don't do that. Or no, Trump didn't do that or whatever. Biden didn't say that. I'm like, don't you find it interesting that everything negative about Trump, you know, right? If there's even something small that's negative, you know about it. But all of this stuff I just told you about these Democrats that's negative, you had no clue. Don't you find that interesting? Oh, well, and they get into whatever they want to explain or whatever, But I do think I got to give a hand clap to Pierre Morgan, because that is a major minority-driven, radio show. A lot of black folks, a lot of Latinos watch The Breakfast Club. Okay, so to say that on that show, I think it's big. Because it's facts, right? Can't hate facts. And most people don't know it. Most black people didn't know that type of stuff. I would know, because at one time I didn't even know about it, right? And the people that I talk to have no clue about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Now maybe, just because of the people that I talk to, maybe my numbers are skewed, so maybe most black people do know about it, but I highly doubt it, right? Highly, highly doubt it. In my estimation, yeah, most don't have a clue about that stuff. So I think it's important that we do bring up more of those types of conversations in public spaces and let it be known, like, this guy that y'all call an angel wasn't actually an angel. And the guy that you try to make seem like the devil and a no good, terrible, very bad person isn't really bad at all. He's actually a whole lot better than the people that you're putting up. It's just that people that you're putting up have the media behind them, so they can spin the stories in the right way and put all these BS stories in front of you. You don't get to hear all this stuff about Trump, all the great stuff, But hey, anyway,
into a ludicrous situation. They all know. I mean, 2/3 of Democrats think he's too old. 2/3 of his own party think he's too old to run again. But he's insisting on doing it. Obviously, nobody wants to give up the most powerful office in the world. I get that. But Joe Biden, to me, is a dead man walking. And if the Democrats don't wake up fast to the reality of their candidate, the incumbent, barely alive president, against a resurgent Donald Trump, who has just had the biggest win at the Iowa caucus in Republican history, and who, by the way, in 2016, when he became president, didn't even win in Iowa. If that doesn't ring massive alarm bells, then I don't know what does. And of course, the dynamic is so different to 2020, because when Joe Biden ran against Trump, then it was off the back of a ruinous pandemic, which had ruined all of Trump's calculations and would have been incredibly difficult for anybody, actually, to win at the end of. Incredibly difficult. And Biden ran as the anti-Trump candidate. Well, he can't do that again now. He has to run on his own record. And as Martha said, 33%, is it? I mean, I don't think any incumbent president in history has won with that approval rating at this stage. Yeah. Right? So, to me, the Democrats have to wake up. Will they? Will they get a new candidate in? Maybe it's too late. They've done it twice before, where they've had incumbent Democrat presidents since World War II who have stepped aside. I think they should do that. Otherwise, I've got to say, and I did not think I'd be saying this a year ago. I really didn't. I thought Trump was done. And then when you think 91 criminal charges, he has to be done. But it's a bit like with King Kong on top of the buildings here. The more they plunged into his back, the more powerful he got. And I look at Trump now, I've known him a long time, and my God, that guy's got resilience. And he has got a gate to his, a wind behind his gate, which says to me he thinks he's going to win. And I think, honestly, I suspect we'll be here in November. And if Joe Biden's up against him, Trump wins.
Trump 24, baby. Like, share, comment, and hit that subscribe button before you leave. Peace and love. I'm out.